Welcome to your free-to-play library, and today we're talking about Warframe. I wanted to do this in conjunction with Destiny 2 because both games are very similar in some aspects. Other aspects are then entirely different, and especially for players who want to know which one to pick, I'll give some hints on the gameplay aspects. You won't hear me push you in either direction. Instead, I tend to remain as objective as possible and let you do the choosing. You won't hear me go into details about the lore of the game, for example, and one might suggest that I do not have enough hours in both games to make this comparison, but then again, this is not an in-depth analysis. I want to cover the main aspects which will allow you to make a somewhat educated decision. Destiny 2 has a lower skill cap and is more accessible to starting players than Warframe. Mobility and movement speed is an important factor to gameplay. If you prefer jumping around, gliding, tumbling through the air, I would suggest Warframe is your cup of tea. Compare your basic mobility, for example. Warframe also allows for a different approach. Instead of going guns blazing, you also have the possibility to sneak around. Sneaking around in Destiny 2 is entirely not an option. It's more a first-person shooter in that aspect. Regardless of movement speed and outside of the box thinking, the skill cap is raised in Warframe because of how armor and the mods work. There is an infinite amount of mods, or so it seems, which can be applied to your frame or weapon, and you can fuse mods together for even more different effects. In other words, Destiny 2 offers great mobility, variety in movement speeds, depending on the class you pick, but is more restrictive in how you can mod your character. In Warframe, you can entirely mod your character as you want to. So if you want to go all in, modify, tweak each aspect of your character, pick Warframe, but it'll take you several more hours to figure everything out. If you are a diehard player and can put in many hours, I'd say go for Warframe. If you are a casual player and have some hours per evening, or maybe some hours per week even, I'd say pick Destiny 2. Warframe is more free to play than Destiny 2. Without discussion, both games are free to play. If you want to check out more about Destiny 2, I have already made a video on how free this game actually is. Check out the card in the top right corner. So with both games being free to play, I have to honestly admit that Warframe just feels more free to play. Destiny 2 will just remind you all the time that you do not have access to this or that DLC, and you need the expansion to be able to play missions, let alone do simple quests or small bounties on a certain planet. You really need to have bought the expansion, and Bungie keeps reminding you of this all the time. No such things will happen in Warframe. After several hours into the game, it does feel like it's free to play. You can access the areas that you want to, or the areas that you have already unlocked, just by completing missions. There are, however, some restrictions in the number of weapons and frames you have access to, but this is also the case in Destiny 2, and these need to be bought, just like emotes and so on and so forth. So Warframe feels extra free in that manner. Also, comparing the total size of their expansions and DLCs, you'll notice that Warframe is overall somewhat cheaper. If you are willing to invest into the game for a long run, this might also help you out. Warframe is both more and less open world than Destiny 2. Warframe's map size and universe is tons of times more vast than Destiny's. Compare, for example, the map sizes of both Warframe and Destiny 2, and you'll notice the difference immediately. So this would mean that you have more world in Warframe for the same free-to-play price, so to speak. The number of planets and activities is not comparable because there is so much more to do in Warframe, simply because the universe is so much larger. This might again confuse starting players because it's not clear where to start or where to go, so that's then the downside of things. On the other hand, apart from fast traveling portals in Warframe to get through this vast landscape, Destiny 2's open landscape seems more refined and user-friendly. The interaction with the planets is quickly go in, go out, and it allows for faster traveling around than Warframe. This is mainly because of the sparrow you can summon at any time, whenever you want to, at the click of a button. So even though the world is larger in Warframe, it feels more difficult to navigate around it. Also, the inventory, mods, and equipment layouts are stored in your spaceship, whereas in Destiny 2 you can access it all the time, making Warframe game feel somewhat more restrictive. In Destiny 2 you can even switch layouts while in the loading screen. In conclusion, with these three aspects that I have covered now, I try to give you a first impression of Warframe in comparison with Destiny 2. Both have their flaws, both have exciting ideas, quests, and storylines. It's up to you to decide. I might cover a more in-depth video later of Warframe if this one achieves 100 likes. We'll see how that goes. Stay tuned for the next free-to-play game, and I'm very excited for Soulframe, for example, and let me please know in the comments which game you prefer and why, and if you haven't, please subscribe to my channel, and we'll see each other in the next one.